Thank you, Brad, and good afternoon, everybody. Today I have signed a bylaw using my authority under the city's emergency declaration to impose a 2-meter physical distancing rule in all city parks and public squares. Any two people who don't live together who fail to keep 2 meters of distance between them in a park or public square will be subject to prosecution and will, upon conviction, be liable for a fine of up to $5,000. It is our expectation we will soon have the required permission to issue a set fine ticket for this offense in the amount of $750. I've signed this bylaw, which is in effect for at least the next 30 days, to further drive home the message that people have to keep their distance from each other to avoid spreading COVID-19 further in our city. This is a deadly virus that has already tragically claimed the lives of Toronto residents. Given the surge in cases and deaths that we have seen in places like New York and Italy, we must do everything we can to stop the spread of COVID-19 now to save lives in the weeks and months ahead. This is but one more measure we are taking so that your city government can assure you that we are doing everything we can to stop the spread of this deadly virus now. Yesterday, I supported Dr. Davila's unprecedented action to quarantine all Toronto residents diagnosed with COVID-19, residents awaiting test results, and people that public health investigators classify as close contacts of those who have been diagnosed. We have done this to further stop the spread of COVID-19 in our city, and I hope anyone caught violating those quarantine orders will be given the full $5,000 a day fine for their blatant disregard for their fellow residents and actions that put lives at risk. We also gave clear recommendations from our public health professionals that everyone should stay home as much as they possibly can and limit outside trips. I do want to thank the vast majority of people in our city who are doing the right thing, following the advice of our public health officials, and staying home as much as possible, often at considerable sacrifice. To those responsible and good citizens, thank you for helping us to save lives. We're saving lives together. But we continue to see, especially as the weather improves, people ignoring that advice, and even worse, flocking to parks and even using closed playgrounds, closed parking lots, and gathering together with others to play sports in the parks. This will further the spread of COVID-19 in our city and will contribute to the costing of lives. The science and the trend lines taken across the city tell us this, and that is why we brought forward extraordinary measures yesterday to stop the spread and to save lives. Not only does this misbehavior on the part of a small number put people's own health at risk, it puts their families at risk and all of our families across the city, for that matter. It will also prolong this terrible emergency and the damage it is doing to the lives of residents, to their employment, and to their finances, prolonging this trauma for many more months. Why would we want to do that? That is why I've reached out to Police Chief Mark Saunders and City Manager Chris Murray to mount an ongoing blitz of our parks using the existing bylaws and provincial emergency orders along with the new bylaw that I have signed today. This is an all-hands-on-deck effort. We have a COVID-19 enforcement team, including Toronto Public Health, Toronto Police, and municipal licensing. We are calling back and deploying 200 bylaw officers along with public health and police officers, including the mounted unit. Around 15 sets of concrete blocks are being dropped at parking lot entrances, including at Sunnyside Park. I regret the fact we have to do this. You'd think that locking the parking lots and putting up gates and padlocking them would be enough, but we've had to do more because of what we've seen happening in the last couple of days. We will also be asking parking enforcement officers to patrol neighborhoods to help educate people about the dangers posed by violating some of these recommendations and rules that have been put in place. Should people cut through parking lot barricades again and park their cars in closed lots, staff will take action. We did 4 friendly tows yesterday so we could clear out 1 parking lot. I can tell you the time for friendly tows is over. The number of hotspots being managed by Parks, Forestry and Recreation staff along with municipal licensing and standards and the Toronto Police has grown to 42. We've received 1,180 complaints. Since March 24th, municipal licensing and standards has responded to 288 complaints, issued 34 notices for failure to comply with the EMPCA order. Since March 24th, Toronto Public Health attended 279 bars and restaurants that were identified as non-compliant, 94 of which were closed. 12 warning letters were issued for premises non-compliant with the dine-in prohibition. Toronto Public Health has also attended 62 personal service settings, nail salons and hairdressers. Around 54 were closed and 1 warning letter has been issued. The time for puzzlement at this misbehavior is over. Lives are potentially at stake, and we will turn up the heat in the hopes that the few who still don't get it or pretend not to get it will get with the program. So